Thank you for coming. And I'm just talking about subject about health benefits of vegan children. And I try to raise a lot of questions in your head. So you have you can ask me, or after that you can go to some Google or some books and just control. Did I really speak right things or not? Okay, this is our road map. So I briefly talk about myself, where I come from, and then I show you where this information, what I present, comes from, and then I show you maybe 10 health benefits of vegan children. I think there are more than 100 different things, but I just briefly, it's a brief excursion for you. Who I am? Actually, I have 5 children, so I know something about children. Actually, fathers know little, and all the mothers say that you don't know nothing, because you are all the time somewhere else. You are thinking something, or you are in your computer, or at your work. So, but I think that I know something. At least I know where they are born, when they are born, and what their names are. So. Actually, my core business is I'm ophthalmic surgeon and medical doctor, and I do laser eye surgery. If people want to get rid of glasses, then we do some exams, and then we say yes or no, and we perform laser procedures. And I have done this already 14 years and performed something like 30,000 operations. So this is my main thing, what I do. And I started to eat plant-based diet, I think, somewhere in 2013. It wasn't so that I saw some film or read some book and went to home and said, I want to be vegan. It was very slow, step-by-step process. Where it came from, I don't know. But one day we sat in our kitchen table with my wife, and we said, hey, we're plant-based now. And now we are, and we are very happy with this one. And then we all the time studied and learned, and this 5 years ago, this plant-based eating was totally different what we do now. So we are every day looking some new things, and we're discussing, and then we look, oh, this is much better. So more I studied about health, and then more plant-powered I became. So it was step-by-step, step-to-step transition. And look who these guys are. Some guy, 34 years old, and I ate everything. Mostly I was on eggs and meat. And I did every day, almost every day, I ran with my dog 6 kilometers just to keep in fit. But this guy, he doesn't do any sport anymore. Just walks 30 minutes with dog. And I'm now 47, and I'm 20 kilos lighter. My 4-year-old son is 18 kilos, and I just came from vacation, and he was here, and I just tried to carry him 300 meters, and I was so tired. And then I looked this guy, he carried every day, 24/7, 20 kilos. So it's much easier life now. So this is one man study, what I have done and what I tell you. So actually, it works. And I tell you that if you look internet, and you can see hundreds or thousands scientific studies about plant-based food, about health benefits, about everything. And there are really good databases, I recommend you go, and it's free also, greenmedinfo.org, and you can look almost for everything. You just put the keyword and studies come up. And there are so many studies. So in next presentation, if I say that there is a study, I will not tell you which study specifically, because I don't remember this. But there are studies, right? And I don't lie. And I think the way vegan lifestyle is more just than food. And for me, it's all about respect. That you respect planet, you respect other living beings, and you respect yourself. And if you do all these things, you are vegan or plant. Actually, I like more define myself more like plant-based eater, not vegan. But if somebody tells me that I'm vegan, that's okay. And I would like to say where we are now in Estonia. In 2004, there were 5% of school children who went to first degree or first class to school overweight. In 2014, 10 years later, 30%. So it was 600% increase just in 10 years, right? %30 of school children eat fruits or vegetables 3 days a week, not more. Only 3 to 5% are eating every day fruits and vegetables. Where they get their all calories. Standard diet is so that they get 40% from dairy, 50% from processed food, and only 10% from fruits, vegetables, seeds, nuts, mushrooms. So this is what they do. And World Health Organization says, by prognosis, that in Estonia, in year 2025, there will be 65% whole population is overweight. All. And I think it's very reasonable, because I just came from vacation, and now I think that this time travel is possible. And I looked, 100% were overweight in this hotel. And there were Estonians, Lithuanians, Poles, Germans. It's epidemic. And who is my dream vegan child? Vegan can also drink Coca-Cola and have some pasta and Oreo candies. And I say, I'm vegan, right? But for me, it's more like they are plant-based whole foods. That's real food that you can find also from nature, right? And I prefer that my children will also eat organic. It's not possible all the time, but if you can see, we buy organic. And last couple of months, we are also gluten-free. We don't eat wheat, rye, and oats. We are oil-free. We don't use vegetable oils. We don't use genetically modified plants. And our kitchen looks like that. That's my definition about vegan. Now, the benefits. There are studies that when children are on a breast milk, right? Then they are much more healthier, they sleep better, and their immunology is much better if they are bottle feed. And I think the bottle feed or formulas or baby junk food. There was a study in 2012, April 16, in such a magazine like Food Chemistry, and they studied all baby formulas in US, and the best formula contained only 20% needed vitamins and minerals what baby needs. So they are actually quite empty. If babies can get 1 year or more breast milk from their mother, they tend to be also more intelligent. They have higher IQ by studies. So I think the first step, if you're gonna have children, it's very, very important. But nowadays, doctors and nursing consultants, they are already start to pushing quite soon. When babies are something like 3 months old, that you have to take some little bit extra. And this extra will do so that babies one day, they just want to formula. They are going off from the breast milk. And in Estonia, again, this breast feeding is declining. For example, in 2013, there were 45% babies who got only breast milk when they were 6 months old. Next year, it was 35. And 2015, it was less than 30%. So it's going down. For example, in Chile, there were 20 years ago or something like that, when companies really pushed hard. So the breastfeeding went from 100% to 6%. And companies are saying that this is good. This is much better than mother's milk. And these babies get sick. When babies don't get breast food, then they have much more problems with digestive system. They don't sleep so good, and a lot of problems. So my recommendation is that first 3 years, guard your baby like mother lion. So just don't give them medicines, antibiotics, painkillers. Just keep them on breast food and some good vegetables and fruits and something like that. There was a study in 1930. That was age before antibiotics. And they studied in more than 20,000 small babies. And one group was only breast food from the mother. And the other one was I don't know why they didn't get milk from their mother. Maybe there were some reasons, but they got diluted cow milk with sugar. And everything else was the same. For example, when they were a month old, they got orange juice. When they had 6 weeks old, they got cod liver oil, because they get this D vitamin. And when they were 5 months old, they got cereals. 6 months, they got some fruits and vegetables. But in 9-year-old, when they were 9 months old, then they drew the line and looked at mortality. And in the first group, breast milk group, there was dead children 1.5 per 1,000. But other group where 87 kids were dead. So the difference was 60 times. So this thing shows how good is cow milk for humans and babies. Now, of course, they don't die so quickly, because now we have antibiotics and medical system is much better. But that's it. So the mother's breast milk is much better. So the next slide is showing us that it's very wonderful if kids have some good hearing. If they hear good, then they also hear parents that you can say that please go there or do that, and your kids hearing that and doing and pleasing you. But if they don't hear, then you start to shout and a lot of conflicts arise. But there are studies again that every child in the US, 9 children out of 10, they have first 5 years every year earache, and 30% of these children have fluid congestion in middle ear. So they have to go to some specialist who is doing a hole in the middle ear and put some ear tubes. And this procedure brings also hearing impairment. And also, because this problem is so common, doctors have opportunity to write antibiotics, a lot of antibiotics. These inflammations are caused only 10% by bacteria, 90% by viruses. But antibiotics don't work on viruses. But almost everyone gets one day antibiotics. And later I tell you one thing why antibiotics are not good for babies. For example, there was again study that if girls get antibiotics, 25 prescriptions when they are 17, then they have 200% bigger opportunity to get breast cancer. If they get 1 to 25 prescriptions, then they have 1.5 times risk up. And if they don't get any antibiotics, then they have very low risks. So if you nowadays visit some family practitioner or some pediatrician, it's very easy that they one day they write you antibiotics or kit. So just if you can, just stay out. The next thing is so that I think the first alarm, if you take your small kid and you have to go to dentist because some teeth are not okay. So this is big alarm that you are doing something wrong. Actually, nature built teeth so that they will last until they will fall off and new teeth will come. That's everywhere. If you look your dogs or somebody, they don't go to dentists, right? So I think so. But here is a other thing, that if you ask any mother and ask why teeth are so bad for children, then they say it's sugar. Everybody knows the answer. So actually you need 4 things to destroy teeth. You need teeth, then you need bacteria, which cause this tooth decay or caries. Then you need sugar, which ferments it, and you need time. If all these things are together, then you get bad teeth. And you need also acid environment. And if you think animal food, like milk, meat, fish, they are all acid, right? But plants are more alkaline. So if kids are more on plant-based, they don't have so many problems with teeth. So that's one health benefit, just to keep them on plant foods. Other thing is good that it's wonderful when your kid can sing and he has nice voice, and we have these vocal cords. For example, I'm a man, my vocal cords will vibrate something like 120 times in every second, right? If you are a woman, 200 times. But kids, 300 times. So if this organ works very well, they can be also sopranos and sing in Milano, La Scala, theater and everything like that. But our real life is more like that. It's very common that children have strep throat, and they have all the time adenoids, and if they can't breathe well, they have sleeping problems, they have bedwetting, they have low energy, all kind of polyps. And there is, in India, they studied that in areas where people don't, they are vegetarians, they don't drink milk and eat meat and things like that, then only 1% of kids get, they call it rhinoconjunctivitis, runny nose and red eyes. Only 1% get. But in our society, it's more than 45% of our kids get every year similar disease. So if you think that nowadays is very common also in adults that I have this eye dryness all the time, I have to put some drops because I have this discomfort. Actually, it could be food poisoning. If you take out these foods, your eyes are also much better. And number one problem for food allergy is dairy, again, milk. For example, if I go to my children's day nursing care or kindergartner, then there are names of children and there are also like chart. They are allergic to one thing or other thing or something like that. And almost every kid had their milk, and some different things. And my wife said me that, okay, I had also this operation and these tonsils have been removed. If I was young, if someone told me that don't drink milk and you don't have to go operation, but nobody told me that it's a big chance that if you stop eating these products like milk or meat, then you don't have to go operation and you don't have to bring your child also to operation. And this is like I put science says. This is just joke. But I heard this story few months ago in States, and one lifetime vegan told me that when they were children with brother and played all kind of different games with other neighbor children, then neighbors all the time they played and they went somewhere else. And they were long time somewhere else and then came back. We with brother just waited them and thought that where they are. And that's the place where they were. 40% of all the visits what mothers bring their children to pediatrician or family practitioners are connected with stomach, digestive problems, constipation. It's a big problem for kids. And the reason is that because, as I told you, they eat very few fruits and vegetables where fiber comes. And if you don't eat fiber, your digestion is very slow. It takes maybe 3 or 4 days to go meat from here to here, right? But if you eat fiber, it takes maybe 5 hours. So it's so slow. And even 4 days, they have difficulties to clean out all the system. So vegans never have constipation. So they just go. I look my children also. They say, I want to go poo, pum, and they come back. Easy. And they don't have, I don't remember that they ever said me, they are 4 years old, that they have some stomach problems or something like that. Sometimes they get some cold or something like that, but never they had some stomach problems. Other one benefit is like that. If you look this girl, I put here, I'm Photoshop free. I don't know actually, is this girl Photoshop free or not? But if I look my daughter, small daughter, she's spotless. She has very nice face skin, right? But if I see young people nowadays in my clinic, so I see a lot of young girls and young boys, they have problems with face acne and something like that. And it could be like that. In developed world and in US and also here in these Baltic states, I think something like 10 to 15% kids have some kind of allergies or eczemas and acne. So my recommendation is just first thing to parents, just eliminate milk, then gluten. And if this doesn't work, then just eliminate everything. Just have only one thing, maybe just rice, brown rice. And nothing happens if they eat only brown rice, maybe several weeks, several months, and so on, until they get some improvement and you just add on. But this is theory. Real life is much more difficult. They go to schools or kindergartner or something like that, visit grandpas. So, but actually, you can do it like that. And again, diary. One good thing is that when you have kid, he will raise hands and say, Daddy, can I go out, play out to the garden, right? And when I see my young children, they are twins, they say, we want to go out and we want to go play, go to bicycle. They don't watch TV so much because we don't show also too much. But they are just like, they want to go, they ask. But if you ask many parents, they say that my kid doesn't want to go anywhere. He just sits at the computer or in the smartphone. And I think he's lazy, right? And sometimes I say, maybe he's not lazy, but maybe you just feed him junk. Just try to give some better food. Maybe he gets much more energetic. And also, so again, 10% or so have today asthma. And asthma can be caused many different things about pollution in the air, dust, stress, some domestic animals or something like that. But there was again study done in 50 children, and their age was something like between 6 to 11. And when they had this in remission, they didn't have asthma this day, and they were given milk and egg, then a lot of kids started again asthma. So milk again is one thing which initiates this process. So just again to be reason to be diet free. Have you heard saying like small is beautiful, right? So in animal wildlife, as you told before, there is done again a lot of studies, and researchers have seen that if animals mature longer, slower, they live longer, they are healthier. But in Estonia, our pediatricians say that no, vegan diet is not good for small babies because they are small. They don't develop good. Other children are bigger one, and they are much more healthier. So actually, there is a law that in animals, actually lifespan they can expect is something like 5 to 8 times until they are grown up. For example, if we grow up in 20 years or something like that, 5 times is 100 years, I can expect, all right? But what happens today? If people are heavily on animal food, so they grow up quicker. For example, in 1890, when they started to register all the physical data, then average menarche, when girls get first period, was 17-year-old. Today, 11.5. Right? If you have longer childhood, way shorter childhood, your life expectancy is shorter. And if you heard from many different places, they say that now the generation who are coming, they live less than their parents because this. And also, if parents heard that this information that they live longer, they are healthier, and they still don't give them plant-based food because doctors are saying that these children will be much smaller. And everyone knows that if guys are small, they don't get girls or something like that. But actually, in University of Loma Linda, it's in California, they did study, and there are big community of Seventh-day Adventists are living there. But actually, the vegetarians and vegans are, when they are grown up one day, they grow up slower. But when they are grown up, they are slimmer and taller, about 1 inch than omnivores. This is a big problem: obesity, overweight, and diabetes. As I said, that 30% of our children are obese now. And if children are obese when they are 6 years old, it's 70 to 80% probability that they are obese also when they are grown up. When they are obese 6-year-old, then you have 450% increased risk to get metabolic syndrome when you are grown up. Metabolic syndrome means that you have high blood pressure, high sugar level, high cholesterol, and all kind of bad things come later. Dr. Greger, maybe you know him from internet. He has such site like nutritionfacts.org. He says that obesity when children are young is a death sentence, because studies confirm that if you are obese and get also diabetes, you have 20 to 17 years shorter life expectancy. Right? And this diabetes is so big problem that in US 75% of all healthcare costs are going to diabetes and all these complications and something like that. And this healthcare budget of US is something like $2.2 trillion. And Dr. Kreger, Dean Barnard, and other doctors have shown that actually this is easy to fix. If you put people on plant-based food, then a lot of diabetic patients, they get very quickly much better. And many of them get drug-free in 2 months. Not all of them, but many. Next thing is heart. If kids are on plant-based food, then their heart is good, and also vessels are clean and elastic. So this is condition. This gives also them lower blood pressure. If you go to the doctor and doctor measures your blood pressure, he says that very good is something like 80 to 120. That's very good. But actually, if this is normal. But actually, studies say that if you have something like 60 to 80, that's much better. You have much lower risks of getting heart attacks and everything else, like strokes. So vegetarians have lower blood pressure. And I've seen myself, I had also very good blood pressure, 80 to 120 before. But now I have something like, I think 70 to 90 or something like that. So it's much lower. If kids eat like they eat and they are obese, they have also a lot of problems with heart and vessels. For example, there was a study in 1950s. It called Korea War Heart Study. And there was a war in Korea, and they studied casualties, young boys who got killed, and average age was 22. And when they did autopsy, they looked at 80% of them had visible, not microscopic, but they just see visible arteriosclerotic changes. So they already had some heart disease. But when they got also some killed enemy victims or dead soldiers, they cut them out and looked, they didn't have such changes. So the next study was, they looked at, okay, they are 22 and already they had this heart disease. So next thing, they started to look much more younger children who got accidentally killed in road accidents, or they had some other diseases that they were killed. And they looked something, this was something like 5, 6, 4 years old, and they already had also some person who were obese had already heart disease. So they went even further and looked the infants who were somehow dead when they were born. And when they were overweight, or their mothers were overweight, they already had arteriosclerotic changes. So if you think that heart problems and high blood pressure, these come one day when I'm old. No, they are coming, they are here, and these things start to bother you when you are 20, 30, 40 years old, and doctors start to recommend you take some pills, right? And there was also study that if they looked children who ate very salty diet when they were young, for example, they went nowadays this McDonald's or fast food restaurants, and they had habit there, so they can really predict that these people have problems with high blood pressure in the future when they are 30s or 40s. So if you can find these kids today, after 30 years, you know their name and their address and just sell them drug. This guy or similar guys were normal when you are born in 1970s, 60s, or 50s. If you look, for example, school photos where everybody are standing there, you see everybody are like this guy. But today, if somebody sees such children, neighbors will call to child protection and ask some specialists to come at what they are doing. They don't give proper food, these guys. So if I remember exactly, I had maybe 2 persons in my class that they were fat. 1 girl, 1 boy. But now, more and more people are obese. So if somebody is really slim and normal, they are looking, it's weird. So in the future, this guy will be in red book. Today, normality is like that. Lot of children today have such disease like fatty liver disease. In the past, fatty liver disease was just only for chronic alcoholics. But children don't drink alcohol. So why is the reason why they have this fatty liver disease? And they think that things like sugar, high fatty diet, excess calories are doing all these things. And first, the liver has these fat deposits, but later it gets inflamed, and there could be also cancer and liver failure. And they are also more and more prone to metabolic syndrome. In US, 30% of population have fatty liver disease, and almost everyone who are obese. And one thing is, which is what they think that causes for kids this syndrome, is high fructose corn syrup, what you can find almost everywhere in soda drinks. Just the most famous names you can think. People think today that kids have to play more in dirt or in mud. That if they play in such an environment, they have better immunity, less allergies, much better mood, right? So just put your kid somewhere in a garden and let him play in the dirt. Don't wash him later. Just let it be. And here his health will be much better. But a whole different thing is with these things. Have you heard about such campaign like Do Not Wash the Chicken campaign? It's in US. If you just go to the YouTube and put this Do Not Wash the Chicken campaign, it's there are several universities are educating how to prepare chicken. So you have to buy chicken, put some special gloves, boil the water, open the package, take with rubber gloves chicken and put the boiling water. Pack the plastic bag, take your rubber gloves and throw them away. Don't wash them, because if you wash there all the pathogenic bacteria are everywhere. Even if you just do some very properly cleaning with bleach, they are everywhere. And you get all kind of different inflammations, like urinary tract inflammations or conjunctivitis or something like that. And people were very, there were such a study that they just gave chicken, people prepared, and after that they studied their kitchen, took all the kind of swabs and looked at the bacteria. And even if people cleaned totally their kitchen was much more dirty than their toilet. And people were so amazed that why kitchen is more dirty than toilet. And the researchers said that, but you didn't wash your chicken in a toilet. That's why. So, look the do not wash the chicken campaign. And all such diseases like tuberculosis or plague, they came from domestic animals one day. So, and for example, eggs, they have salmonella, things like that. And farm fish, for example, I think somebody of you have seen from YouTube about documentary about Norwegian salmon. That in salmon, they think it's most dirty food you can find from supermarket today. There are more than 2,000 pesticides in salmon. So just think about this. So many people think that, okay, I don't eat dairy, I don't eat this red meat, but I eat salmon because it's healthy, right? A lot of omega-3 and something like that. But reality is different. Also, again, I recommend to go this greenmedinfo.org, and you can see thousands of scientific studies that plants are good for your health. They reduce cancer risk. They have a lot of vitamins and minerals. They have fiber. They are nutrient rich, low in calories, and all this gives extra for your health. And one interesting thing is what they discovered maybe 10, maybe few years more ago was phytochemicals, what plants include. Like we know that there are vitamins and minerals, but there are more than 12,000 known phytochemicals that improve your food. And these are needed for human organism. Before, they didn't know that this exists. Let's look at the cancers. If the acute lymphoblastic leukemia is number 2 cause children death today, the first one is accidents. And they think that the first 10 years of children's life are most important, because then they grow and all the cells are replicating. And if during this time you keep your children on healthy food, they are much, much more protected from getting cancer. And there was a study in 2017 just came out that most of cancers in US are from lifestyle. And there were 4 most important risk factors, like junk food, red meat, obesity, and inactivity. Average cancer will take something like 20, 30, or 40 years before doctors or any machine can detect it. So it's not like you ask, where you heard that some friend says that I was totally healthy, and now cancer appeared. It didn't appear now. It was there already long time. And also in animals, they have done many studies that cancers come and they go. If you all of us have cancer cells in our organism, but our organism is actually self-healing, and it just tries to all time get rid of all these cancer cells. And if even today we have some cancer and we are going on good food, then we get rid of these cancers, right? And they think that cancers are fully preventable. And it's easy to prevent them, but it's very difficult to treat if you have already long time developed cancer. So message is, keep your children on healthy food and they don't get cancer. Eyes. That's my specialty. And I've seen more and more and more these things, that if children have bad general health, they have more probability that they have glasses, right? When children come out first day, they have very small eyes and they have plus refraction. And then their eyes get bigger, 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 bigger. And one day, brain looks, now we have very good vision. Stop. And we fix it here. And we have 0 refraction. We look very good far, very good near. We don't have glasses. But something disturbs this process. It calls emmetropization. And it doesn't stop, right? And you get these minus glasses. And the problem is that if you eat a lot of animal food, then your hormone levels are about 10% more than plant-based children. And if all the growth hormones are up, then your eye is also growing a little bit bigger. Maybe this is just 1 millimeter, but this gives you -3 glasses, right? If you just keep children on plant-based food, then they have lower probability to have glasses. Okay. Today also, if you ask some mother or grandmother and ask, what do you think, why your kid has glasses? The first one is that I have glasses and my husband has glasses, and we think it's genetic. But actually the study says that it can be like you have glasses and your children have also. But it's not a rule. 50% of children who have both parents who have glasses, they don't have glasses, right? And then they say, okay, I know. This is computers and smartphones what destroy good vision. But actually there's a very good sample and epidemiological studies done in Singapore. In 1940s, this society was plant-based mostly, and just about once or twice a week they ate also some little bit chicken or some fish. But when Americans came after World War II and started to develop this country, and in 60s or 70s, they opened fast food restaurants. Then what happened? They had 30% of population who had this myopia, minus glasses. But when they were 1970s, in the end of 1970s, there were more than 80% of kids had already minus refraction. But these days, there were no computers, no smartphones, something else. So they think it's a lifestyle. They changed so much. And today, there are more than 95% of children who wear glasses when they are 18. So it's catastrophic, right? If you keep kids on plant-based food, which is low in calories and rich in nutrients, they have strong bones, flexible joints, and trim body. And it's easy to maintain ideal weight also. And if you look also today, sport top performers like Novak Djokovic or Sister Williams or Formula One driver Lewis Hamilton and a lot of NBA players, and there are like ultra triathletes who are doing running every day hundreds of kilometers. They are all plant-based, and more sport top athletes are going to plant-based because their career is longer. They don't get so many injuries. They recover faster, and they are in a much better shape. And if some NBA player can extend their career something like 5 or 6 years, it makes them $10 million more. So they know what is good, right? If you don't keep them on plant food food and give them all kind of junk, then what we see in our clinic, that lot of young people who are born after 1990, it's like a cut. 1990, our whole societies changed. Before it was Soviet Union, big happy family, now the capitalism came. And our shops had much better food selection, right? Everything changed. And if we look at these people, they're ill. They have all kind of weird names of disease. Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis. They have arthritis, lupus, diabetes. A lot of girls have some problems with thyroid. Hashimoto. I ask, where do you get these diseases? These are very rare. They say, no, I already have. It's 5 or 10 years ago. So, again, it's not so that you think that I can eat all the junk in the world, and take maximum out of life. Just, I burn all my life. And this disease come sometimes. Sometimes when I'm 60, 70. No, they come now, very quickly. We are coming to the end. One thing, if you give excellent food to your kids, they are much calmer. If they have more energy, they have more optimistics, and they're thriving. For example, if I look my small 4-year-old daughter, not son, but daughter, we haven't taught him how to write or draw, but he can already write her name, say where it comes. And she just picks up very, very quickly everything. And there were studies that it called child development study, and they looked the IQ of young children. And average omnivores had something like 100 points. But vegetarians or vegans, they had 110, 10-point difference, right? And the other study was done in Britain, that they studied kids and they didn't look what they ate or something like that. They just studied. And after that, 30 years later, they noticed that children who had, when they were very young, higher IQ, they were more and more converted to veganism or vegetarians. So they don't know exactly is it egg or hen? Are they vegetarians because they are smarter, or are they smarter because they are vegetarians, right? Other thing is that if you look this girl, like a third of our children are, then if you ask any adult who was obese when they were young and ask, was it fun or wasn't? And almost everyone says that if I can do so, that I wasn't obese, I don't know what I do. That this is much, much better to be slimmer. But I'm not sure if it's now, because there are so many kids and you are looking quite normal. But in the past, when you were fat, then you had a lot of behavior problems. And low self-esteem. And today, also, a lot of children are on drugs. They get, drug calls like Ritalin. It's like ecstasy. And many other things. They are taking Xanax. And Joel Fuhrman, which is one nutrition-based family practitioner, have written also that he has done a lot of experiments, or not experiments, but cases, when they changed food, then a lot of mental problems just came off. And they also take gluten and all the food additives out off the table, and they had many good samples to show. And animal food is what is doing also that if you eat that, your hormone level is going very quickly up. If you don't eat, it's going down, up and down. And then kids have also a lot of mood changes. They say, oh yeah, they are very active, and then now they are depressed. Active, now they are depressed, right? But plant-based foods are more stable. Their hormone levels are much lower, and they are more stable. There was a study in 2016 that when kids drank 1 cup of milk in the morning before the school, then their IQ were 10 points lower, and they have lower cognitive functions. So they got lower grades. So think about this one. And this is almost my last thing. There was one guy, Benjamin Franklin. I don't think he was a president or not. No, he's just founder of US. Very clever man. And he says that only intelligent drink for wise man is pure, clean water. Right? You have to drink only clean water. And my kids, they are drinking clean water. They ask, I want to drink. And sometimes I ask, what do you want to drink? And my wife said, what? He wants to drink water. I said, okay. But if you eat a lot of animal products, then you have greasy plates, greasy dishes, and you need some help. But what we have seen at our home, that we don't use things like that anymore. We just eat and have some water, clean it, and just put dishes away. So we don't drink anymore this brand. Right? And that was actually all what I wanted to say. And the last thing I say, that health is not medical term. Everybody thinking that if I'm healthy or don't feel good, where I'm going? I'm going to the place where a lot of sick people are. And there are also some specialists who just gives me some drugs. But maybe the better idea is just take some shower and go to the bed. And in the morning, everything is much better. Okay, that was my talk.